Thinking about the happiness of motorcycling, I feel sorry for those who are not doing it. I feel the need to share this with everybody. I guess all humans share that feeling. Even if you've never thrown a leg over a bike, you've felt it from the sidewalk. There is a primal, almost poetic freedom to motorcycling. It's the closest humans have ever come to flying without leaving the ground. On a bike, you aren't just in the scenery, you are a part of it. You feel the temperature drop as you enter a forest, you smell the rain before it hits. But then reality hits. For most of the world, that romance is blocked by a massive wall. We call it the hustle. To enjoy that freedom, you have to dress like a medieval knight in 1500 worth of leather and armor. You have to accept that a single patch of wet leaves or a distracted driver can be a life-altering event. You have to deal with the sweat of the summer and the bone-chilling damp of the winter, and so most people choose the car. They choose the steel box because it's safe, it is dry, and you can drive it in a suit. There is a middle ground I am convincing myself. Imagine we took the concept of a fighter jet and crossbred it with a city commuter, a motorcycle with a car's cage. What if you had a vehicle that was only as wide as your shoulders, but as secure as a cockpit, a machine where you don't need a helmet because you are already inside a protective shell, where you don't need special boots or jackets because you are shielded from the wind and the rain. Imagine a motorcycle but shaped like a bottle. It's tapered at the top to slice through the air and flared at the bottom to stay planted. Inside, you aren't straddling a tank. You are strapped into a fixed, bolstered seat surrounded by a transparent canopy that gives you a 270 degrees view of the world. It is the jet pilot experience, but for your morning commute. The advantages are obvious, but the genius is in the details. In emergency, the wheels retract, and the bike settles onto these rails. It doesn't roll, it slides. It's a spark-free, controlled sled that brings you to a stop safely, using physics instead of luck. Second, the parking nightmare. We've all seen it, a bike knocked over by a car or stolen in minutes because it's light. Our machine solves this with a single lever. When you arrive at your destination, you pull a handle. The wheels pull up, and the entire 350 kilograms machine settles onto its belly. It becomes a slug of metal and plastic. You can't knock it over. You can't roll it away. It's a built-in security system that makes the bike part of the pavement, and you are ready to fly again. You get the car's protection against the elements. You get the car's safety and the car's no-gear convenience, but you keep the motorcycle soul. You still learn into the corners. You still filter through the traffic that has everyone else standing still, and you do it at a price point around $6,500. We've spent a century thinking we have to choose between the thrill of the bike and the utility of the car. But the technology to have both isn't a mystery. It's just waiting for some foolish enough to build it. Because when you combine the agility of two wheels with the security of a cockpit, you don't just have a new way to get to work, you have a new way to live. The clear zone may be a high-impact, optical-grade polycarbonate spanning from the dashboard to the rider's shoulders, foot pads integrated into the lower frame, allowing the rider to stand or shift weight to influence the bike's lean. The handlebar cavity wide shoulder area in the metal frame to ensure the bars don't hit the cage walls at full lock. The rider can stand up on pads. The cage is tall enough for full vertical movement. We can place a camera on the back of the head, the highest point of the cage, to give the rider a guard view, or a rear-facing periscope that bypasses the physical pillars of the cage and the passenger's head. Since we are projecting this onto the dashboard, we are effectively turning the front of the cockpit into a digital rear view mirror. Thus, we can have many options, such as the transparent passenger effect. If a passenger is behind you, they usually block 100% of your rear view mirror. With a head-mounted camera, the passenger becomes invisible in the digital feed, giving you a crystal clear view of the road behind regardless of who is in the back seat. The dynamic overlays, since the image is already being processed and projected, you could add proximity warnings. The zero-neck strain in an additional bike, looking back. In a traditional bike, looking back, the lifesaver glance can be awarded in a helmet. In our cage, the rider stays tucked and focused forward, using the dashboard for total situational awareness. Usually, a bike is a grab-and-go target for thieves. They just lift it into a van or hire it. By turning the bike into a closed, lockable shell, you've effectively given it the anti-theft DNA of a high-end car. Normally, riders have to carry their valuables, their helmet, jacket, gloves, into the grocery store or office, although there is no need for gear at all here. Still, you may lock your valuables inside. With this design, using high-impact polycarbonate, the same stuff used in fighter jet canopies, makes the windows nearly impossible to smash compared to standard glass. Because of the weight factor, thieves can just hop in and ride away because they can't access the controls. The jet cockpit aesthetic perfectly bridges the gap between high-performance agility and car-like convenience. In a traditional high side, the bike's rear wheel loses traction, then suddenly regains it, backing the rider into the air like a catapult. In this cage, the rider isn't thrown away. They are trapped inside the projectile, the roll hoop geometry. The metal frame of the cage must be designed like a teardrop or a diamond. If the bike flips, the shape should encourage it to slide rather than tumble and make it turn over if flipped. The slow-speed canopy mode is a stroke of genius for the cool factor and functionality. The top half of the cage slides forward or lifts up, letting the breeze in. This also helps with the inner ear balance. At slow speeds, riders often feel more stable when they can see the ground and feel the air directly. The cage is shaped like a bottle where the body flares out to accommodate the handlebars and the rider's torso. This allows the bike to roll into a lean with much less air resistance. The barrel advantage: by tapering the top, we are reducing the mass far away from the center of the bike. This lowers your COG, making the bike rotate much faster and with less effort. It essentially slims down the part of the bike that has to travel the furthest distance during a lean. Since it's bottle-shaped, the opening mechanism could have many options: a door swinging out, the top half of the bottle rotating, or sliding along a circular track. The top of the cabin slides back over the passenger's area, turning the cockpit into a convertible. Taking advantage of this transparent bottle-shaped cage, we can use integrated LED strips that run along the middle ribs of the cage to make it glow at night, thus very visible. We can add colorful strips to be seen during the day. To reduce the cost, we can make the barrel thin, vacuum-formed PETG or acrylic that for the non-structural windows. It's the same stuff used in high-end display cases, cheap, light, and replaceable. The frame of the cage isn't a solid piece of metal. It's a series of thin, bent tubes that provide just enough support to hold the plastic skin. The dashboard is just a secure mount for the rider's smartphone. For a camera, we use a simple wide-angle Wi-Fi backup cam. If the price is around $6,500, as I'm expecting, and it carries two people in a dry, secure environment with no need for $1,000 worth of leather gear, it suddenly becomes very desirable. You save on gas, insurance, gear, and parking too. We drop in a 300cc to 500cc single-cylinder or parallel twin engine. These small engines already get 70 to 80 mpg with the aerodynamic bottle shape. We could probably push that to 100 plus mpg because we've slashed the wind resistance. The target retail price of this thing is around $6,500. Based on the materials we've discussed, the estimated curb weight would be in the margin of 280 kilograms to 380 kilograms, depending how fancier the machine is. A single lever with differential distribution is used for the brake of both wheels. The bike senses the pitch. If the front starts to dive too hard, the system automatically shunts more braking pressure to the rear wheel. In case of emergency, and if the braking is not enough, a brilliant way to handle a 350 kilogram high side or low side, the wheels are retractable, or the cage is lowerable. Instead of the bike tumbling, it becomes a sled. It has a landing gear. The wheels could retract slightly, or the lower metal ribs of the cage could be fitted with sacrificial slide plates made of wood. The wheels are retracted automatically in emergency and by actuators if desired. The wheels are pulled up in the urgent braking and in the parking. The flat, reinforced bottom of the cage meets the asphalt with a huge surface area. It slides in a straight line rather than tripping and rolling. We use sacrificial wood blocks in aluminum frame to be budget-friendly and more efficient as it was done in 19th century trains. As the wood burns, it creates a layer of carbon that provides a consistent, predictable deceleration. It acts like a biological brake pad against the asphalt. We could design the bottom of the cage with two longitudinal aluminum rails. You simply slide in a stranded cut piece of hardwood like oak, ash, or even a dense pressure-treated pine. If it's burnt or shaved down, you slide out the old piece and put in a new one. We use the emergency sled as our primary parking mechanism, better than a fragile kickstand, what in the industry is called belly parking. The bike is physically impossible to tip over while parked.